Good evening. My name is Jacqueline Giz, and I'm a freshman at the Rutgers University Honors College studying political science and art history. This past summer, I had the honor of being an intern at the Archivio Digitale Boncompagni Ludovisi, and this presentation will be a culmination of my work involving a recently discovered account book from the Villa Ludovisi. I think there's some really exciting stuff coming out of this book, and I'm very excited to share my work with you today. Today, we've heard a lot about Ludovico Ludovisi, the eldest nephew of Pope Gregory XV. However, we've heard relatively little about his much younger brother, Niccolò Ludovisi. Niccolò Ludovisi was known as the Prince of Piombino from 1634 until his death in 1664. And at that point, Niccolò's eldest son, Giambattista, inherited his title Prince of Piombino, and a large fortune, which we'll get back to in a minute. As the grandnephew of Pope Gregory XV, Giambattista, along with his sisters Olympia, Lavinia, and Ippolita, were the last generation of the Ludovisi family before their merger with the Boncompagni family. The recent discovery of a Villa Ludovisi account book brings to light much of the financial state of the family, specifically Giambattista and his sisters, as they struggle to put forward the funds they promised for the tomb of Pope Gregory XV, while maintaining ownership of their property. The account book starts during the papacy of Gregory XV in 1622 and spans all the way to 1745. The book is divided into two main sections and includes detailed records of payments, creditors, and debtors associated with the estate. The first section of the book focuses on the will of Cardinal Ludovico Ludovisi, while the second section describes the transactions concerning the Church of San Ignacio, the future home to the tomb of Pope Gregory XV. Upon his father's death in 1664, as previously mentioned, Giambattista inherited the title Prince of Piombino and a large fortune, which came with some large debts. Giambattista was known to have poorly managed his inheritance and debts, putting the grandnephew of Pope Gregory XV in a less than favorable financial position. While Giambattista and his exploits are a matter of their own, here I'll be focusing on one of the ways he sought to alleviate his financial issues, by deaccessioning significant works from the Ludovisi's renowned art collection. The Ludovisi account book is by no means an inventory of the family's collection. However, in documenting the deaccessioning of several works, the book helps provide valuable insight on the collection. In an excerpt dated March 25, 1684, we read that Giambattista removed 8 paintings from the Palazzo Grande of the Villa Ludovisi. He claims that he was entitled to do so as the heir of his recently deceased sister, Lavinia, who had died in 1682 at the age of 23. While he claimed to have moved 8 paintings, he only describes 6. In this first-person excerpt, Giambattista also claims that he took the frames along with the door covering, which most likely refers to some sort of tapestry. The excerpt reads as follows. Number 29. Other receipt or an expression of Prince Giambattista about the removal of 8 paintings from the villa done by him. I, in writing, Prince Ludovisi, in the Palazzo of the Villa Pinciana, have taken 8 small paintings by my own authority. That is, one of Circe, which is said to be by Guido, about 4 palms. One on wood of a Madonna, who gives Christ a blessing, about 2.5. Another on wood with 3 divisions of the circumcision of our Lord, about 4 palms wide. One of a Madonna, Saint Joseph, and Puto, also on wood of 3 palms. One of Christ in a flower garland of about 2 palms. One on wood, about the size of a head, of Madonna and Puto in her arms. And Saint Catherine, and their frames, and a door covering, which I declare to have taken as both a portion of my legitimate inheritance and as an heir to the most excellent Donna Lavinia, my sister, and for any other title I am entitled to. And for effect that Domenico Iacovacci, who is in charge of these things, is not harassed in giving an account, I give you this declaration. In faith on this day, March 25th, 1684, Giovan Battista Ludovisi. For the remainder of this presentation, I'll share an attempt to identify each of the paintings mentioned, and if possible, to find their current day location. This work would not have been possible without the publication of the 1623 and 1633 inventories of the Ludovisi collection, which were respectively published by Carolyn Wood and Clara Garris in the Burlington Magazine. Their work was an invaluable resource, and as such, both inventories will be referenced throughout this presentation. Given the brevity of the account book, all matches must remain speculative. The first painting described was Circe by Guido Reni. This excerpt states that the painting was 4 palms, or about 34 inches long. This painting appears to have no modern match. However, it's believed to be a variant of Reni's bust of a woman wearing a turban, which currently belongs to the Minneapolis Institute of Art. Within this single portrait, the subject can represent both the mythical Greek sorceress Circe and the Christian Saint Lucy. Both in the 1623 and 1633 inventories, a painting of Circe by Guido Reni is mentioned, but it's larger in size, 5 palms as opposed to the 4 palms mentioned in the excerpt. Second, Pope Gregory XV's grandnephew moved a painting of a Madonna giving a blessing to the infant Christ. This work is 2½ palms, or 21½ inches long. However, the note is accompanied with no additional information besides its measurements. Given the popularity of the subject matter, identifying this painting is extremely difficult. With further study, perhaps it can be matched to a work already documented in a Ludovisi inventory using its size. The third object to be documented in the account book is a painting of the circumcision of Christ. The painting was done on a wood panel, and it was divided into 3 parts. While there's relatively little information included in the excerpt besides its size, 4 palms, its unique subject matter aids in identifying the painting. An original painting of Christ's circumcision by Veronese was in the Ludovisi collection until 1644, when it was sent to Spain. However, a copy remained in the Ludovisi collection by the hand of Pietro de Cortona. According to Garris's commentary on the 1633 inventory, number 33, this copy ended up in the Pallavicini collection by 1713. This painting, or what may be its copy, no longer appears to exist. However, an etching published by Giacomo di Rossi depicts the same scene and claims to be a copy of Veronese's work. This etching is probably the closest glimpse into the lost painting we can see today. While the engraver chose to remain anonymous, clear credit is given to Veronese in the bottom left corner of the engraving. Fourth, we learn of another painting of a Madonna and the infant Christ, this time with Saint Joseph. Given its size, 3 palms or about 25½ inches, and the subject matter, there's good reason to think that this painting matches a painting of the same dimensions featuring the Holy Family noted in Wood's commentary on the 1623 Ludovisi inventory, number 168. As in this excerpt, it's noted as unattributed, making it difficult to find its contemporary home. The fifth painting mentioned is the infant Christ surrounded by a garland of flowers. The excerpt notes that this painting is about 2 palms, or 17 inches. There are no apparent matches in either the 1623 or 1633 Ludovisi inventories. However, the work of a follower of Guido Reni, the Bolognese painter Pier Francesco Cittadini, precisely fits this description. The lack of inventory matches can easily be explained because Cittadini was less than 20 at the time of the second inventory. This painting was likely made after both inventories were already complete. The infant Christ in a medallion surrounded by a garland of flowers from 1650 may be the same painting documented. If accepted, this shows that the Ludovisi collection of paintings continued to grow into the mid-17th century, adding contemporary artists to what we now know as Old Masters, as well as the leading lights of especially Bolognese painters of the early Baroque period. Finally, the journal entry refers to a smaller painting on wood of the Madonna and Child, accompanied by St. Catherine. The painting is described in size as sta testa, which means it was a head-sized panel, which would have been less than 3 palms. This subject matter had been popular among generations of artists. And in the 1633 Ludovisi inventory number 94 was a work of this subject matter. Measured at 3 palms with Saint Jerome, another saint, and a bishop as additional figures, and it's said to be by the hand of Parmigianino. Today, a painting by this artist and the same subject matter hangs in the National Gallery in London, which is shown here. First attested to the Galleria Borghese in 1694, it was measured at also 3 palms. But there's reason to believe that this painting has been in the Borghese collection as early as 1650. However, in 1992, Another work on the subject by Parmigianino came to the Louvre. This unfinished painting from 1529 matches the description in the account book in both size and subject matter, except that in addition to the Madonna, the Infant Christ, and St. Catherine, there's a male figure to the right. What may link the Louvre painting to the painting described in the account book is that it came to Paris directly from the collection of Don Gaspar Méndez de Heroy Guzman, Spain's ambassador to Rome from 1677 to 1682, and the Viceroy of Naples from 1683 until his death in 1687. Guzman has direct links to the Ludovisi family and had held several ex-Ludovisi paintings in his collection. These facts raise at least the possibility that the Louvre copy of the Mystic Marriage of St. Catherine is indeed the former Ludovisi painting. With this being said, it is impossible not to mention A Mystic Marriage of St. Catherine, which was a very small work on panel, sometimes said to be by Parmigianino, but in fact was painted as a part of an elaborate hoax by the great Annibale Carracci. The small-scale painting was documented in the Palazzo Grande of the Villa Ludovisi before 1678 by the Bolognese art historian Cesare Malvasia. For more on this, see Anne Summerscale's Malvasia's Life of the Carracci, commentary and translation. It's hard to close without glancing at the next item in the account book, where the identity of the object is not speculative at all. Indeed, this entry concerns one of the most famous sculptures that's come to us from antiquity, the Dying Gaul, formerly known as the Dying Gladiator, widely thought to have been found on the grounds of the Villa Ludovisi during excavations of its foundation. This is not a formal declaration by Prince Giambattista. Rather, according to this excerpt, two members of the Villa Ludovisi staff had to swear on August 24, 1690, that in the Holy Week of the previous year, meaning between April 4th and April 10th of 1689, they spotted the prince hauling off the quote-unquote famous statue of the Dying Gladiator from his Palazzo Grande. The excerpt reads as follows. Number 30. Witnesses of the removal of a famous statue of a gladiator from the villa by Prince Giambattista. We, the undersigned, make faith through our oath that in the Holy Week of the past year, 1689, the excellent Lord Prince Giovan Battista Ludovisi, in the palace of the Villa Pinciana, took by his own authority the Dying Gladiator, and we know it from having seen him, as we are custodians and renters of said villa, in faith on this day, August 24th, 1690, which is followed by the affirmations of the two signers. Here we know the precise context of the situation. We have a declaration from the Boncompagni Ludovisi archive dated April 4th, 1689, in which Giambattista actually pledges the statue to Prince Livio Odescalchi, nephew of then Pope Innocent XI Odescalchi, as a security of a loan of just 1,500 scudi. There's another document that refers to the same oaths as a part of the staff as here, but both of these documents are now in the Vatican. The statue did eventually return to the possession of the Ludovisi, and Giambattista's sister, Ippolita, who became the head of the family, sold it to Pope Clement XII in 1733, just shortly before her death. Today, the Capitoline Museums in Rome are home to the Dying Gaul. This was an exploration of less than 2 pages of the Villa Ludovisi account book. While the account book was clearly not intended to serve as an art inventory, it's hoped that this brief study offers valuable insight into the art collection of Pope Gregory XV's family. Further study should tell us about the family's inventory and their habits of collecting. However, this book promises to reveal information beyond the family's art collection. Exploration into the book as a whole may reveal a lot about the last generation of the Ludovisi and the process of memorializing Pope Gregory XV in the Church of San Ignazio. Thank you.